Welcome to this video edition of Is It Beer Yet? I am Matt, and this is beer number 4 for the 13 Beers for Halloween by neozaz.com. And today's beer is Scream Ale. It is a cream ale. No specific Halloween Horror Nights 28 reference other than people screaming. It was, I'll say it, it's a cream ale, scream ale. I was running out of ideas after 13 beers, so it's as simple as that. The recipe for this, it's a scaled down recipe of a beer I did earlier this year. In fact, it made a brief appearance in our last video. It was the Celebration Script. That was a cream ale. The big difference, and it is a key ingredient, is that beer had a Kolsch yeast. It was White Labs, I don't recall what number it was. It was White Labs Kolsch yeast. This is using a dry yeast, so I expect a distinct flavor difference. In fact, maybe even more so, which we'll get into quickly enough, with that different yeast. But the grain bill is pretty much the same. Let's talk about that. I don't have videos. Now we're getting into the point of the project, I should say, where time, that factor of time gets a little tight, and I can't really take the time to set up the camera and a tripod, and I just take pictures. This isn't the last time that's going to happen. This is the first time it happens. But let's take a look at the pictures and go through the grain bill here. So we're starting off with 1 pound of 2-row pale malt and 1 pound of Pilsner malt. That is the base, those are the base grains. Could not think of the right words there. First adjunct is, in fact, the only adjunct is 3.2 ounces of flake corn. That is what I found, and from what I understand, what makes, it sets apart a cream ale from a golden ale or a blonde ale or another kind of ale of its color and style. So I double milled just the pale and Pilsner malts, not the corn, of course, just like in the wit beer episode. Then I did the second milling directly into the brew bag that is in the mash tun. Then I added the flake corn on top of it and mixed it up. Then we went and measured, I say we, when I mean me, went and measured the boil additions, the hops. 2 different types of hops here, Saaz hops and Hersbrucker. So first is that would be an insane amount of hops for 1 gallon. 0.28 ounces of Saaz hops. That is at 60 minutes for the bittering. Then 0.09 of Hersbrucker, also at the 60-minute mark for bittering. So I guess that's 0.37 ounces altogether. That's actually pretty big hop addition for our 1 galloners. Then we don't have another addition until the 20-minute mark, and we have Saaz again. That's 0.09 addition there. And then, since it is such a light grain bill, we're putting in 1 ounces of corn sugar at 10 minutes to boost the ABV. That sugar won't do anything else, really, but boost the ABV. I'm sure chemically it does other things to it. But as far as our palates are concerned, or my palate is concerned, it's just going to be an increase in the alcohol and the mouthfeel. Then we get to the boil, of course. Then there is my wife's cat who thinks he's a brewing assistant. Then I took it in and chilled it, and I actually took a look over and saw that the cold break looked really cool, so I took a picture of it. That's what the cold break looks like if you've never seen cold break when chilling wort before you pitch the yeast. So that was kind of cool, so I took a quick shot of that. So after chilling to about 70 degrees, probably closer to 69 or 68, that's what I tend to get in these ice baths, I pitched the yeast, and I pitched 3.3 grams of Safel USO5, I think. I need to note at this point, before I taste this, that I made this beer right after making the wit beer, and I mean right after making the wit beer. And I am almost positive that I pitched the Safbrew T58 Belgian yeast again into this beer. So not only do I not have the liquid yeast from the original recipe, I've also put the wrong yeast in here, which is a huge factor if I did. In fact, I went as far as to weigh the yeast packet, the T58, which was only going to be used once in all these beers, and it is down about 6 grams. So I'm pretty sure this has the wrong yeast in it. We're going to find out. But back to the entire process. Fermented it for 12 days, cold crashed it for 2. If I hadn't mentioned it in a while, cold crashing, I put it in the refrigerator, 40-degree refrigerator, so everything would settle out and the yeast would go to sleep. Put that in the refrigerator for 2 days, probably a little longer, more like maybe 2.5 days by the time I bottled it. I did bottle it with corn sugar and conditioned it at room temperature, which is about 75 degrees, somewhere between 74 and 76 is where our house sits at for 3 weeks. Was in the refrigerator for 4 weeks or so. Actually, it's probably closer to 3. I wrote down 4 in my notes, but I believe it's closer to 3. Either way, it's been in the refrigerator for quite a few weeks. And now we're going to taste it, and I'm going to get the answer I've been wondering about for more than a month now. But let's take a look at the label. This, like I said, I started to run out of idea. Oh, you're seeing it on your screen. You did not see me hold that up to the camera unless I did an edit there, which now that I mentioned it, I probably did. I was starting to, the names didn't all come in the order that I brewed the beers, and I was completely stuck on what to call this Scream Ale. So I just called it Scream Ale, and I figured I'd make a simple label. And there's like a Scream-looking font that says Scream Ale and 5.7 ABV. I don't know if that's the actual ABV. That is by calculation in Beersmith, so that could be off, but it's somewhere in that range. Okay, on the left side of the label, the fun side of the label, it says, "Someone's lazy. This is a cream ale. It was made for Halloween Horror Nights 28. The best our writer could come up with for this name is Scream Ale." Really? Like, really? And I can say that because I'm referring to myself there. And then the serving suggestion: put into a glass and get our writer a thesaurus. I don't know if a thesaurus would help with the name, unless I looked up synonyms for scream, but that's as much effort went into the label story apparently as the name. On the other side here, it says, "A classic smooth cream ale made with an even mixed base of pale malt and Pilsner malt, rounded out with flake corn to make a creamy, easy drinking beer, light on the hops with a sugar of super subtle Says and Hallertau." That should say Hirschberger. I messed up there. I think, at least one entry on each of these labels. So I'll say it the way it should say. And Hirschberger for both bittering and aroma. A great break on your palate between heavy, strong, and hoppy beers. Okay, like I said, I am 99% sure this has Belgian yeast in it, so now it's time to find out. So see if we got a hiss. Still don't know where my bottle opener is. I'm going to find it before the series is over. Sorry, something caught my eye. I thought I saw it over there. It's not over there. Got a hiss. I forgot to hold it to the mic. Oh, thought we're about to have a flow over there. We definitely have carbonation. I hope you can see that. That's cool. I've not seen it rise from the bottle like that, and that's probably because this is a super light colored beer. So let's do a pour. All right, so I'm trying to adjust my shirt here. I don't know what's going on. So we got the right color. Let's see, my hand is blocking that. You're not seeing it. Crystal clear. I'm surprised how clear many of these beers are in the bottle, because I've done no findings on these yet. I will be in a future beer, but I had not yet at this point. So this is just patience and cold clearing out these beers. So the legend is true. So, all right, let's check out the aroma. This is going to be the first hint I had the wrong yeast, if that's the case. And I'm still pretty sure I used the wrong yeast, because I smell that yeasty smell that I had in Killer Clowns, but not as strong. I'm also getting a little bit of the all the malt and I wouldn't say the corn directly, but I'm getting that nice, pleasant, just beer-like aroma. It's not malty or sweet. I used this to describe it last time. It was barely in the last beer, but in this beer, it's more prevalent than that yeasty smell. But the yeasty smell is there, so I'm getting a little worried. In fact, the yeast, I'd say I wouldn't say it's dominant now, or either is dominant. It's about 50-50. Head retention on this is pretty amazing. I do want to note, this is a callback to my last episode. My sister has been here since I recorded that last episode. That was the Killer grease paint that had no head when I tested it. We cracked open 2 of those, and both of those had really good heads. So I don't know, or head retention, I should say. The pour on the episode yesterday that posted, which I actually filmed ahead of time, it didn't stay, but for some reason the other 2 did. I still have 5 bottles, so we'll find out what the other ones do. I don't know what was up with that one. And she tasted the candy too, Although I had mentioned it to her, so I don't know if she would have caught it on her own. Next person that's going to taste it, he'll be here in a week and a half from now, and I'm not going to say a word. I'm going to let him describe it. I'm going to keep pressuring him to give me detail. Anyway, I should have added that to that episode. So head retention on this is pretty impressive. Even during that pontification or diatribe, I heard pontification used once when someone talked too much on a podcast, and I can't stop using that word, although I've never heard it until my 40s, which doesn't say much for my education. But anyway, the head retention during all that is still there. I think it's time to taste. It's probably raised a couple degrees with my hand on it. I want to see if the aroma changed. It hasn't. Still weedy and still beery in a good way. Time to taste. Okay. I'm pretty sure I used the Belgian yeast, but I'm not super upset by the result. Let me taste that again. All the characteristics of the cream ale are there. The mouthfeel is fantastic. The smoothness of the corn and the two base malts, and the subtlety of the hops, that's very good. There is a little bit of I don't know what, and I think that's the Belgian yeast. But I'm almost positive, since there's an extra yeasty element or an estery element, it has to be from the Belgian yeast. US-05 is pretty, innocuous is the word that comes to mind. It doesn't add a lot to any specific flavors other than enhancing your malts and your hops and whatever else you have in there. This has an extra something in it, which I think is the T58 yeast, but it's not as I want to say it ruined. I was going to say it didn't ruin the beer like I thought. That's probably the wrong thing to say. It's not as impactful as I thought it was going to be. It's actually not. It's not what I wanted in the cream ale, but it's not a bad beer. If I really focus on that one flavor, I think it is the Belgian yeast. Although I can't say exactly what that tastes like alone, but it's what I'm trying to say is I focus on that flavor, and that's that overwhelming flavor in the wit beer I don't like. It's in here, but it's not very strong. However, it's definitely something. It may be even the fact that it's dry yeast. Even if I happen to use the right yeast, which at this point I don't think I have. This isn't the cream ale, the other one was. And I took a chance of using an existing recipe but changing the yeast. So I am going to call this one a not a success, but in the best possible way, because I still have 7 bottles of beer I'm very happy to drink. But it's not what I set out to do, which makes, if we're scoring this, 3 for 4. But again, the best way not to score a point, because I'm happy to drink this. I would like to do this one more time, knowing for a fact I'm using US-05. In fact, that's not a bad idea. Once all this is said and done, do it again and taste against one of these bottles and see if it tastes the same or if there's a distinct difference and it's just the dry yeast. But if I were to make this again, I'm going to be using the Kolsch yeast, because that is the taste that rounds out this particular cream ale. But again, not a bad beer, but we're 3 for 4. That's pretty damn good so far. In fact, the fact that I have 3 good beers, I think this project is a success, and a 4th beer that I'm happy to drink, although not the style I wanted. So, all right, I think that's it. I've droned on enough about this, and I'm going to happily finish it when all's said and done, when I'm done with this recording. So let me wrap up this recording and say thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, give the video a like, hit that little bell so that you are alerted when the next set of videos comes, or the next video. They'll be coming out one a day till this is over, and then who knows where we go after that. If you have any questions, comments, or suggestions, post them below. I will be happy to respond to them as quick as I can. One more time, let me say thank you for listening, and I'll see you in that next episode. Thank you for watching Is It Beer Yet Video Edition. Is It Beer Yet is part of the neozaz.com Internet Entertainment Network. Visit neozaz.com for all our podcasts, including the original Is It Beer Yet home brewing audio series. Follow our social media pages for more on this project and all the beers and brewing we do at neozaz.com, or Neozaz Podcasts on Facebook, Neozaz on Instagram, and Neozaz on Twitter. If you'd like to learn how you can help support the work we do and get access to exclusive content, check out our Patreon campaign at patreon.com/neozaz. And you can always send us an email at podcast@neozaz.com. Thanks again for watching.